All right, here with Dylan Horton. Dylan, we saw on Instagram, lost over 50 pounds the past 6 months, played D2 football, All-American, and now moving forward in life and doing a bit of a recap, kind of going through how it all happened. So I guess first thing would be like, how did that mental shift go for you from finishing the season to within maybe a month or two, deciding you're going to fully cut down and change your life?
Yeah. So I finished up my season and I destroyed my ring finger on my left hand during the season and kept playing on it. So I knew I had to have surgery on it, and I knew that that was really going to cut into like I guess my dream of having a pro day and stuff. And so I decided that I was going to make the switch to working on losing weight. And there's not a lot of stuff out there that seemed really healthy to me in terms of losing weight. A lot of it was fasting, a lot of it was retatrutide, GLP-1, stuff like that, where you just starve yourself. And I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I was pretty committed to losing weight as soon as I finished football for a while. I have progress pictures from my sophomore year where I was at my heaviest, and I was like, this is what I'm going to compare myself to, which is what we did, and that was really cool. But I looked up lineman weight loss trainers or lineman weight loss coaches and found you, and I followed you, and we got to talking, and it really wasn't hard for me to want to do it because I didn't want to. I don't usually what's the how do I say this? I'm not gonna not follow through with something that I committed to, especially if you're coaching me. It's the same way in like football or anything else where like if I have someone that I'm working with, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let myself down. So the mindset with weight loss was pretty similar to the way it was in football, where you don't want to let yourself down. You know that you can do it. So yeah.
Yeah, man. It was, yeah, because right away it was just off and running. And I suppose next thing was because it was cool talking with you throughout the whole process because you had roommates in college who were losing weight.
Hmm.
So it was kind of cool hearing, I'm in my own echo chamber a lot of the time, just working with guys who are doing it this way or learning from people from similar schools of thought.
Hmm.
So it was interesting hearing other guys seeing how much you're eating and you're losing weight, if not, as fast, if not faster, and it's a completely different approach. How was that, I don't know, process of losing weight while not feeling, I guess, over restricted? Because you're still tracking
Yeah.
food, you're still very disciplined, and
Hmm.
that's not necessarily easy for most people, but you did it, and
Hmm.
it did it in a healthier way.
I think the craziest thing initially, because I knew what you were about, I'd watched a lot of your long form content, and I knew that you were about like the whole food, but keeping the calories high. And it was just hard. It's hard to even think about that and then actually do it. There's such a difference because you really we're killing 4 or 5 meals a day, and you're going to bed full as a tick. And it's just, you're like, man, you go to bed and you're like, am I gonna be lighter in the morning? And then you're like, man, I'm lighter. How is that possible? Like I'm fuller than I've ever been and that just helps with everything. I remember during football, I was super heavy. I would wake up and barely be able to move. I would like have to really roll around and get my body going, just super inflamed.
Yeah.
And as that weight came off and as my diet got super clean, it was unbelievable how much of a difference I saw. And the fact that we only changed my calories twice was another thing that was pretty unbelievable, where we went from I think we were at 3,700 initially, and then we went down to 33 or 3,400 and then dropped it
Yeah.
down a
I mean,
little
yep.
bit more. Yeah. But we never really pulled that much. And you see a lot of people who will pull it to like 2,200 or 2,000 calories to shave off the last few pounds. And we never had to do that. And that was something that was really nice, especially because I've been really, really busy these past few months with a lot of life changes. So it's been nice not having to starve myself.
Yeah. And that was always the conversation every week we'd meet. And you're like, you think we have to pull down? I'm like, dude, you're losing 3 pounds a week. I think you're good. Like,
Yeah.
and that's, a lot of times people, I made this mistake personally too, is pulling food so quick you don't even let it work. Now, the caveat with that is, which is what you did, is not doing full-fledged cheat meals and having a day where you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because a lot of people, if you eat 30, whatever, 3,000 calories, but then you have one day where you eat a bunch of fat, 5 or 6,000 calories, poor sleep, you can kind of fuck your week up. And then I think, from there, people have to pull their calories even lower, and then the chances of overeating goes higher. So I think that was a huge thing for you because we're going into summer. A lot of guys always tell me about social pressures, and you've had a busy spring. So how did you manage? being social, spending time with friends, family,
Mhm.
fiance, and still reaching your goal.
Yeah, I think the good thing for me was a lot of or the good thing for weight loss in general and my schedule was a lot of my friends have graduated from college, and it was me and a few of my buddies left, my two roommates, and then I had a few lower classmen, guys that I hung out with a little bit, but a lot of my friends were gone, so I had a lot of time to lock in with school. And then I also had the fundamentals of engineering exam in March, which is a really huge exam. So for the first 3 months of the semester, or since January, I guess, I was just focused on that. There was that, my diet, and then wedding planning with my fiance. So I had a pretty good grip on my daily schedule for the first 3 months, and then after that, I was able to enjoy some more stuff socially. But I just had my priorities from top to bottom were pretty hammered out this semester, and I think that helped a lot with my diet. And then the diet, especially with the plan, you don't have to think about what you're going to eat. We worked together really closely with stuff that I liked and stuff that I didn't like, and we changed it every 2 weeks. If there was something I didn't like, we'd pull it and replace it. And I was still getting the micronutrients that I needed, but it was stuff that I liked. And when you don't have to think every day about what you're going to eat, it allows your brain to think about other things like wedding planning or studying or other things like that. So that was what helped me quite a bit.
Yeah. And speaking of thinking too, was because you before were energy drink guy, and then
Hmm.
eventually switched over because it interplays with digestion too, which is something we spoke about, which is crucial for fat loss. So walk me through how it was switching from energy drinks to then coffee to then what it did with the digestion.
So yeah, in April, I was killing energy drinks. Like whenever I was studying for the fundamentals of engineering exam, I would drink 3 or 4 a day just to stay absolutely focused, but my digestion was pretty bad. It improved a lot whenever we switched to the whole foods diet, but then there was still another like bottleneck with it, and I knew that there was better digestion that I could have. And so at the beginning or middle of April, I decided that I was just going to really try to stop energy drinks. I've been drinking them since I was 14. So for how long is that? 8 years I've
Yeah,
been drinking them. So it's been pretty tough or it was tough at the beginning, but then you realize like how much better you feel, especially midday crashes. You don't feel it as much, and then digestion improves tenfold because you're not consuming artificial sweeteners all the time. And that was something that I noticed instantly. And I think whenever you feel those benefits, it's not hard to be like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's just a switch that has to be made. It just has to be made. And once you make that switch, you're going to feel the benefits of it. And that's where I was with it. I think I've had maybe one or two since April, just here and there, but it's been really nice with digestion, with midday crashes. And coffee, I think, just tastes better now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where does that where does that ability to switch over to like to break a mold or a
Hmm.
routine or a habit you've done for 8 years? Why does that how did that happen?
Yeah, I think it was the same thing. The feeling that I had with caffeine was the same feeling that I had with nicotine, where you do it for a long time and you're like, one day I'll be done with this. And then for me, I set deadlines for myself. So I was like, once I have my surgery, I'm going to be done with nicotine. And I did. And then I set the deadline for myself. Once I'm done with the fundamentals of engineering exam deadline, I'm going to stop caffeine. And that didn't work because I kept drinking energy drinks for like 3 weeks after that. And I was sitting there one day with my drink and I looked at it and I was like I told myself that I was going to stop. I could at least try it for a week. And so that was where the drive for the energy drink or stopping energy drinks came from, was just being like, I don't want to like try to do something and then not do it. It's the same thing with weight loss where I started it. I said we started on the 21st. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna stop doing this. So yeah.
That's good, man. A lot. It's just it's a tough thing for, I
Hmm.
think sometimes to break through somebody when you know, like, and you've probably been in a situation with your family, with your friends, when you know something would benefit them, but we know as humans, being forced to do something typically does not lead to a
Hmm.
lasting change. So it's like, how do we help somebody make a change, right? For you, like I knew energy drinks would help, and yeah, on occasion, do I have Red Bull? Absolutely, but it's like it's having that daily driver being something that's really beneficial, like a coffee, which is
Hmm.
cool. Aside from that, what did you notice with the interplay with digestion and fat loss? as bloating went down, as digestion, maybe instead of once a day, went to twice a day, once in a while, 3 times a day? What did you see with fat loss and energy?
It definitely improved. I think the initial stages in January and February were just because I had never eaten that clean. So I think the fat loss took care of itself without digestion. And then you
Nice.
start running into the small hiccup with digestion where like I know that there is something that could change to where my digestion would be better. I just need to figure out what it was. I remember we had some conversations about it where I don't remember the weight, but I was stuck somewhere for a couple weeks or 10 days. And you said just trust the process, just keep eating. And then I think my digestion improved and you start to feel better. But then you also notice that the scale will reflect a little bit more accurately in the week to week. You're not having gigantic swings. I used to have huge swings in my weight. And so, and it's happening right now, now that I'm not super strict, is that my weight is kind of fluctuating a little bit more. But whenever I was super clean, I noticed that my weight wasn't varying a ton day by day because my digestion and my bowel movements were pretty common the whole time. And that is what helped a lot, especially with my mental health, was like not seeing huge sways and being like, oh, I overate, I underate. It's like, no, you're doing exactly what you should be doing and it's staying steady and it's dipping. But then it's going to go up a little bit, but it's not going to go up 6 or 7 pounds like it did before.
Absolutely. And the reason behind that, I suppose this would be helpful to share too. A lot of it with digestion comes down to there's many different hormones within the gut, and these hormones have significant impacts on fat loss. So when people think of a food that maybe looks macro friendly, right? People love to say that. Maybe like a diet soda or a protein bar that seems to have good macros. What they don't realize is these foods are going to lead to gut permeability or slow digestion. Now, when you have a combination of gut permeability, meaning there are things leaking out of your gut, these are toxins that are meant to be excreted that stay in your body. What would examples of these be? All right, we would call these LPS, lipopolysaccharides, but really what this leads to is increases in estrogen, increases in serotonin, increases in histamine. And when these happen, fat gain, and fat maintenance is much easier for the body to do. The body is stressed because these are stress hormones. Those three hormones I listed are stress hormones. So inherently, the body's stressed. So the body keeps fat on. The body doesn't know the difference, and Hans Selye talks about this. The body doesn't know a difference between you getting chased by a tiger or you thinking you're never going to eat food again. These are all stresses. Now, where does this also come in too is energy drinks. Because energy drinks, as we take caffeine, as we take stimulants, if we don't have enough fuel for the liver, this is what happens. We get stimulated, our metabolic processes speed up, but then we don't have enough carbohydrates in the liver. And this is typical of somebody drinking an energy drink, especially no calorie energy drink. It's increasing gut permeability. Okay. So you have stress increases from things leaking out of your intestines, but you also don't have enough carbohydrates and glycogen in your liver. So then your liver's releasing cortisol and adrenaline. So now you have cortisol and adrenaline from your liver, you have serotonin, histamine, and estrogen from your gut, and fat loss with all of those hormones at play. Now it's going to downregulate testosterone, and there's a whole cascading effect. So that's, I guess, for the viewer, if they're like, why does digestion or energy drinks behind the scenes matter? That I hope would answer the question on that.
Mhm.
Aside from that, I'd like to talk about training too, because I think this was cool. Because you're somebody you were leaving football as an extremely strong lifter, squatting over 600, benching over 400. These are incredibly strong for most people walking around, as you see now in typical gyms. So how has it been transitioning from power building style, where you're chasing more, 1 to 5 rep range, to now doing more hypertrophy and different style training where you're not have strength coaches and training partners yelling at you?
Initially, it was pretty hard because I only had one hand, and that was tough. I couldn't use my left side much, and I found that it was not very fun only lifting with one side. But whenever I got my other hand back, I loved it. I've never really done bodybuilding hypertrophy style stuff. I've always been a power lifting kind of guy where you're just hitting the main three and then
Yep.
throwing in some accessory work on the side. But I noticed and I noticed right off the bat that I had a lot of growth that I hadn't tapped into because I've never tried, and that was fun seeing that. And I also noticed that I felt like the workouts were harder. I feel
Mhm.
like I was getting more of a workout in compared to hitting two reps, two heavy reps on squat and being done. I was really getting in there and getting after it. And so that was fun. It kind of reminded me of football a little bit, where not necessarily the lifting side, but the running side, where you're just beat after the workout. Sometimes I would feel like that with the hypertrophy stuff, which is fun. I really like that feeling, and it feels like you're making gains, which is the best part of it. So I enjoyed the hypertrophy almost, I mean, probably as much, if not more, than the powerlifting stuff in terms of the effort aspect of it. And I also enjoyed seeing growth. That was really fun. That's really the best part, is losing the fat while also staying, if not getting bigger, because I've never really tapped into my shoulders or my arms, st things like that, where I didn't know it coming in, but like where I had gains left on the table, and you worked with me about that, and that was fun to see. So yeah.
In core, I think that was cool too.
Oh
But like
yeah,
most,
core.
yeah, like you spam that.
So before I started with you, I didn't hit core. I hated core. Core is my least favorite thing. I assumed that since I was bracing with a belt on squat, I was hitting core. And I finally started doing core, and I feel like that's been the best thing ever, because I haven't had to get down to 215 to have, the upper stuff, the upper uh
Abdominals, obliques, yeah.
yeah. And it has been very, very fun to see that, because that was something I never thought I would ever see, would be abdominal muscles poking through. I've got a little bit more to go before I've got all of it, but I'm 100% intending on, we're gonna get back together and I'm gonna keep dropping, but I gotta kind of take a step back for the wedding, just because I want to enjoy this next week and a half. But we're gonna get back on it, and I cannot wait to finish out this like leaning process, because abs are the coolest thing ever to me. So yeah.
Yeah, it brings your whole physique together,
Yeah.
and that's really when we talk about weightlifting, a lot of guys are like, oh, I know how to lift, but it's like if you don't have an elite mind muscle connection with the side delt, with your biceps, triceps, even sometimes, lower lat, then that, because the physique we're going for, me, you, most guys after football and who want to be healthy, we're not necessarily looking like bodybuilders. It's more of an aesthetic,
Hmm.
healthy physique. So having those muscles that go with your, because if you can squat 600, you got strong legs. If you can bench 400, you have good pressing muscles, chest. So then building up, like you said, the gains left on the table, which is really cool. So then you can maintain the strong muscles that you have, maintain the usage, but then you can actually grow and then feed around that. So feed heavy carbs with intra training around training. So then your
Hmm.
training doesn't feel like shit, even though you're down 30, 40, 50 pounds. Because a lot of guys, I'm sure you've spoken to, who are training, that's doing like 30 to 40 minutes of weightlifting, a lot of cardio, and strength seems to go down for most people I talk to who try to lose, 50 plus pounds without really knowing what to do. So
Yeah, for sure.
aside from that, how's it been? I guess one of the last few things. How's it been playing sports? This is always, I don't think we've spoken much about this, but how's it been playing sports not outside of football, now being way lighter, like, tennis, golf, all that stuff?
So I was going to talk to you about this. So Sunday I played pickleball for the first
Okay.
time since I've lost the weight, and it is unbelievable. I I can't even explain how it just feels so much different. Like you feel free, you feel
Yep.
freer in your body, like you can move better without fearing like getting hurt, and I don't get gassed like I used to whenever I'm doing little things, and I can dunk now, which I wasn't able to
Yeah.
do when I was heavy, and that's fun. I feel like being a 6'4", I should be able to dunk, and now I can. So I check that box. But just you feel free, and it's not even just sports. Like when I wake up, I feel like my body can move, and when I'm stretching before a workout, I don't have to like sit there and brace myself to stand up. I can just stand up. I don't have to push myself up. I can just stand up, and you just feel like you have more control over your body, if that makes sense. In everything, even from sports to just waking up to walking around, you feel like you have more access to all of the muscles in your body, all the movement. Like you can just bend a little bit better. And with my golf swing, I've noticed that I can open up more. It's just the quality of life that's the biggest thing out of all of this, out of the muscle, out of the eating healthy. It's just the quality of life in my own body is 10 times better than what it used to be.
100%, man. This is what I always tell people. I'm like, I feel better I'm older now, but I feel
Mhm.
better than I did playing sports,
Mhm.
playing football. And now you realize you're like, shit, I'm a better athlete probably than I even realized too. Like
Mhm.
you can move around and people are probably like, yo, you play tight end or you play lacrosse, like because you can move a lot now. So that's freaking awesome, man. Good. Um, all right, anything else you want to talk about? I think that's kind of we covered most of the, I don't know, the
No,
six
I mean
months. Didn't really use a lot of supplements. I guess we didn't talk about sleep. I feel like you did pretty solid with that too, but
yeah, just walk. I think that was the biggest
walk
thing
was,
I
yeah, we
did.
didn't mention
Yeah.
that.
I walked a lot. I listened to a lot of podcasts and walked and would just do stuff while I was walking. I think that that's the biggest thing. Sleep is important, but don't stress about sleep. But definitely sleep enough.
Yeah,
I
don't
found that my
stress.
big, yeah,
Yeah,
I towards the end I was getting pretty stressed out about my weight, and I was finding that sleep was harder and harder compared to whenever I was just being like the weight. It doesn't matter if I like uh sleep 8 hours. Like I just need to sleep. Like go to just think. Don't think about sleeping and losing weight. Just think about sleeping. So that was super important. And then like if you are thinking about losing weight and you don't know what to do and you don't want to do it alone, just sit up, just work with Jack. Like it's gonna pay
cheers.
dividends in the end. And I think that that was one of the better decisions I've made, was working with you instead of trying to do it on my own. So,
Yeah, well, kudos to you too. I mean, it's cool being able to help anybody because it's your life, it's your body. So I'm a lot of times a sounding board and reflection of what you already know you should do, and then kind of adjusting it so it'll help you. But
mhm.
you're the one to put in the work. So appreciate you,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll be back in the next few weeks doing another Q&A. So feel free to leave in the comments or send it to us, and we'll talk soon.